I love being here, though. It's such excitement, such dedication, because I believe Mississippi can do remarkable things. Now, I get to see it every day. Let's just take, I got up this morning, I went directly to the governor's office, and I sat down and we went over a discussion that I'll be having when I speak before the Washington Times Education Summit next week in our nation's capital. That's right. I'll be there because they are so amazed at what we're doing in Mississippi. This year in the Mississippi legislature, we said we're going to have a transformational change in education. Now, I know every governor wants to be the education governor, but we decided to forget about politics, forget about who we might make mad or who might not like our proposals, what was going to be the best for the students in the classroom. And we said it's going to be education works because, look, if you don't have an education, you're not going to work. I can just tell you, no education, no job. And so we looked at our educational statistics and we said, you know, it's sad because a lot of our third graders, 46% of them can't read at a third grade level. Now you think, well, that doesn't matter to me because I'm past the third grade, but I can tell you all of those children that are trapped in the third grade that can't read are being socially promoted on to the fourth grade. It's like a conveyor belt. We just send them right on through school, and it gets worse in the seventh and eighth grade where somewhere around 70% of them aren't proficient on a national level at math and science. So we said, that just can't happen. We can't be the remarkable state that I know that we're going to be with children who are not performing. And so we said we're going to come in and do some things. First, we're going to have a pre-K system so we can get to children very early. We've been working with building blocks for years and years now, and that's 4-year-old. Now, you may look back at when you were 4 and say, well, I wasn't learning a whole lot. Your mind was consuming so much information from the time you were born until the time you were 4 years old. It consumed most of the information that you would have during your young years. You see, that's when your mind is absorbing everything. That's when us parents find out that we better watch what we say, because the minute we say it, you repeat it. So all of us parents go, uh-oh, don't say that word because it's going to come back to you. So then we started learning we've got to get into the collaborative educational system that we have, because about 90% of our children right now are in daycare centers or child care centers somewhere. So let's put an educational component in that. For the first time ever, Mississippi is going to come together in a collaborative effort and do that. And then we're going to go into that third grade and make sure those children can read by putting coaches, not football coaches, because I'm not sure my football coach would be a good guy to teach you to read. He taught me a lot of valuable lessons, but we're going to put reading coaches in there so those teachers can know that they've either got to perform, that those children have to learn how to read. There's no question about it. They must learn how to read before they get out of that third grade, or they won't be socially promoted to the fourth grade. Now, I'll tell you, that's not the end of the world. A lot of those kids are dyslexic like I am. Yeah, I was a dyslexic child. Didn't find out about it till I was in the 5th grade. I kept noticing I couldn't spell, and in those grades they gave you get different colored books that you could read, and I always got the yellow book. That was sort of the lowest one, and every time we had a spelling bee, I was the first guy to sit down, and finally I had a teacher who said, son, you're not a failure, you're not stupid, you're just dyslexic, and we didn't know what that was. And she said the words just move around on the pages. And the letters within the words do, and that's why it's hard for your mind to comprehend that, because your mind's moving really fast and it skips over those letters. And I thought, God, that's a great idea. My mind's moving fast. And she said, I know you've got talent because we can talk about a story, talk about events, and the next day you get up in front of the class and you can give a speech on it. Well, I should have known something was wrong right then. I might swerve into the world of politics. But she changed my life. Mrs. Hensley changed my life. She said, you're not dumb. You're going to learn to read. You're going to be successful. You're going to do some remarkable things because I'm going to make sure of it. And that's what we've got to have in our classroom. So we're going to start saying it. We're going to bring teachers in and make a 21 on their ACT, 21 or pass their practice test to get in the classroom so we get a higher level, if you will, of those students. Now, I don't exactly remember what I made on my ACT, but I'm not sure it was a 21. But I only got to take it one time, and you just showed up at a designated location. They threw it out there, and you moved on. So we want those teachers now that are taking that in high school 2 or 3 times, so they want to make sure they get that highest grade. If they get a 28, they get a free ride in college. So if any of you make a 28 or better on your ACT, you can go to 4 years of college to be a teacher free. The state of Mississippi will pay for it. to get you into that classroom. And then we'll give you a $6,000 extra, $6,000 more for your pay if you'll teach in a challenged area like Morehead, Mississippi, where I was born up in Sunflower County. So we can give those children the same opportunity that many of you have had in life. And so we began slowly to change the whole dynamic. We said charter schools are a good thing in DNF. And failing school districts, let's put some competition in there. Let's find a charter school so we can compete. If you only had McDonald's and McDonald's was the only place in the world you could get a hamburger, do you think it'd be good hamburgers? Yeah, because they'd say they can't get it anywhere else. It doesn't matter if it's hot when it comes off the grill. If it doesn't matter if you have it your way. Oh, that's the other guys, isn't it? Because we can serve them cold hamburgers because there's only one place in the world to get a hamburger. And it doesn't matter if we take it 30 minutes to get it out to them. Don't put any ice in the soft drinks. They'll have to drink it warm. It's the only place they got to come. But they know better. They know they're competing with Burger King and all the Sonics and everybody else, so they've got to come on every day and say, our food's the best, and we get it to you quicker, and we're more affordable because you have a choice. But see, in school, we tell you you can only go to this school. You can't get outside the lines. You can't get outside the district. You can't even get outside of your school. Even if there's a great school just right across town and your parents want to drive you there, we're going to say we're going to keep you there. In fact, we hire people almost like law enforcement officers to make sure you don't try to sneak into another school district. Why? What are they afraid of? Tear down those walls. Let you and your parents decide where you want to go to school. Now, I tell you, that's radical thinking. I mean, it's really out there. But the more we talk about it, the more people say, sure, why on earth do we have this concept that I can't go to the school or my child can't the school that I want him to, or the school that he wants to go to? So our Education Works agenda has taken off. It's exploded. So I spoke to the Governors Association a couple of weekends ago. They wanted me to talk about it. I'll go to the Washington Post in Washington, D.C. and be there with Governor Susana Martinez from New Mexico, who's done some very similar work out in her state. And then I go to the Hunt Foundation and speak to them about it. We just got a letter yesterday from Artie Duncan, Secretary of Education, this administration's Secretary of Education, saying what advances Mississippi has made in education. Now, let me tell you, I just think this is just the beginning of what we're going to do. Once we get that fixed, once we get these children like you coming out that are bright and articulate and ready to go, then we've got to keep them here. You see, we're losing about a third of our best and brightest every year. It's the brain drain you've heard about, because many of you will say, I just can't make it, Mississippi. I just need to go somewhere else so I can make a good salary and so I can find a company to go to work for, because Mississippi's just not doing what it should do economically. Just as I got off the plane, I received a text from my office, and it was about ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange. They're an organization that looks at each state's economic development each year, and they decide to rank the states. ALEC this year has ranked Mississippi in the top 10. We're number 10, but we're number 10 in the nation for economic development opportunities in this state. Number 10. Now think about that. Of all the states that are out there, we're number 10 for our economic development opportunities. So where are you going to go? There's a bunch of other states below that aren't nearly as good as we are. And then we talked to our Mississippi Economic Council on the way over here. I love that little iPhone. I get a lot going. I'm talking to Blake Wilson, and Blake Wilson said, Governor, it gets even better. Because if you look at the Southeast with the states we compete in, with our blueprint that we believe are the states that are competitive for Mississippi in the Midwest and the Southeast, we're number 3. We're behind Florida and Georgia. So we're number 3 in our competitive field. That's why we have Toyota. That's why we have Nissan. That's why we have Severstal, the most successful mini steel mill in the country, just over here in Columbus, Mississippi. That's why when Yokohama Tire Company was looking for a plant to put in North America, they looked at 3,000 counties all across the United States. 3,000. You know where that plant's going? West Point, Mississippi. We beat them all. And as I was there in West Point, Mississippi, and making the announcement about Yokohama Tire bringing, with $1 billion investment, going to bring 2,000 jobs to the Golden Triangle area, the next day I flew to Ellisville, Mississippi to cut the ribbon on the GE engine plant. So we assemble jet engines for GE. Now that's pretty serious high-tech stuff. And we have a plant in Batesville, Mississippi, and one in Ellisville, Mississippi. When I talked to David Joyce, the CEO of GE Aviation, he said the Batesville plant is doing so good, we're going to open another one in Ellisville, Mississippi. So when I go to the Paris Air Show and I walk into the offices of GE, David Joyce stands up and says, here's the governor of Mississippi. They have the best workforce in America. When I go to San Diego, California, and I talk to General Atomics, and that's a pretty good little company out there. They make some drones, and they've helped fight the war for freedom with their Predator drone. You may have heard about that. And they're also making the new propulsion system for the Gerald Ford class of aircraft carriers, an electronic magnetic propulsion system that'll send that F-35 fighter in the future off of that deck at the exact speed that it needs to, so the safety of our fighters within them will be protected. You know where that motor is being made? In Tupelo, Mississippi. And oh, by the way, we're doing pretty good in the medical industry. We're one of the fastest expanding medical industry states in the nation. We've got hospitals going into DeSoto County. We've got hospitals expanding, the Baptist Hospital in downtown Jackson. We've got one in Picayune, Mississippi. They're just expanding all over the state of Mississippi. And by the way, one of those doctors at the University Medical Center the other day did something pretty remarkable. She cured a child of HIV/AIDS. Yeah. Dr. Hannah Gay took that child as it was born with HIV/AIDS. Now you can imagine the lifestyle, the dangers, the turmoil that was about to enter into that child and that parent's life when that child is born with HIV/AIDS. The child is 3 years old now and cured. Now, people all over the world are calling the medical center saying, can we get Dr. Hannah Gay to come speak to us all over the world, because this is a game changer. This is remarkable. This is something that has never happened before on the planet. So when people come to you and say, oh, you know, you're from Mississippi, you ought to come on up here. I mean, we've got better opportunities. Yeah. Tell them some of the things I just shared with you. Let them know we make 3 different UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, right here in Mississippi. And let them know we've got a NASA base in Hancock County, the John C. Stennis base, that's tested every engine on every shuttle that's gone into space. Man is on the moon today because of the John C. Stennis Space Center. And I tell people, man may go to Mars one day, but he's going to have to pass through Hancock County to get there. I love telling these stories. I love speaking all over the country. Hate to travel, but I love to go and speak, because the more I tell people about Mississippi, the more excited they get, the more amazed they are. They just don't believe. They didn't know that. Well, I didn't realize that you had such a great opportunity. I didn't know y'all were the birthplace of America's music. Every genre of American music started here in Mississippi. Elvis Presley wasn't born in Memphis. Born in Tupelo, Mississippi. Jimmy Rogers, the father of country music, was Meridian, Mississippi. Yeah. And the blues started at the crossroads. Right up in the Mississippi Delta, Robert Johnson out there. Now, y'all know the story. Robert was supposed to make a deal with the devil to say he could be the best blues guitar player in the world. Now, we don't believe that, of course, do we? But he was the best blues guitar player in the world. And everybody from the Beatles to Eric Clapton to B.B. King said Robert Johnson started it all right there with that little guitar at the crossroads. So every time someone says, where are you from? Whether you're in an airport or where you're just traveling across country, you're on vacation, or maybe in the future doing business, you say, I'm from Mississippi. Let me tell you a little bit about my great state and what we're doing, because we got so much to be proud of. Now, we got a lot of work to do. We hadn't cured everything. I will also tell you that Area Development Magazine today, I hope you might see the story, also said that they are awarding us what they call their Silver Shovel Award, because we've had more groundbreakings and more advancement in business and manufacturing than any other state in our region. So here we find ourselves in this wonderful state of Mississippi. What are we going to do with it? Where are we going to go? All the way to the top. Nobody's going to stop us. We're in the top 10 now. Next year we'll be in the top 5, and the next 3, and the next 1. There's no reason in the world we can't do remarkable things. We already have. Let's just do more of them. Now, you got to stay here. You got to help me. Every one of you. You've got to make sure that you either finish your college or go on to a dynamic career. That's the 2 things we want you to do when you come out of high school, be college or career ready. And then get in your mind that Mississippi has to work a little bit harder. We have to get up a little bit earlier. We have to dedicate ourselves to greatness each and every day. We have to say not just good, but we've got to go good to great. I was with Jim Collins the other day. It wrote a book called Good to Great, and he said that is the difference between great companies and great states and great countries. It's the mindset of the leadership that we're not going to be good, we're not going to be mediocre, we're going to be great. And everyone else believes that with them. If you believe with me as I do that we're going to be great, we will be. We will achieve greatness, because I believe Mississippi is much more about the future than it is the past. And you're going to carry us there. Thank you, Boys State.